Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers and our partners of Tampa Bay Real Producers as part of our partner series. So today, we get to hang out with one of those partners, which is Jeannine Smith with Cardinal Finance. Hey, Jeannine, good to have you here. Yeah, no doubt. Excited to kind of dive in more to your story and for people who might not know you and who you love to serve and why and all that fun stuff. So Jeannine has been a partner now over, a year and a half, I want to say now with Real Producers?
More than a couple of years.
Does that sound right? Okay. So you might have seen her at some of our events. Jeannine attends a lot of our panels at Whiskey Cake and other events that we've put on over the years. And I know she's connected with some of you out there in the community. So let's tell a story a little bit about just your background. Did you grow up in this market? If not, how you found yourself in Tampa Bay, and eventually how you got yourself into the lending world?
So I'm not originally from Tampa Bay. I'm originally from New York City.
Yep.
But I met my husband of 26 years. We met in Hawaii.
Wow.
When he was in the Navy in Pearl Harbor. And then we've kind of traveled, been stationed different places. And
what were you doing in Hawaii?
I was just living in Hawaii.
Nice.
I did 1 year of national exchange student my junior year, and then went back for what I thought would be a couple of years and stayed a little longer. So
not a bad place to visit, right?
Yeah, it's a great place to live. Love
My cousin who graduated from Annapolis was stationed in Pearl Harbor, and I remember visiting her out there with my mom. And it was awesome. We had a great time. Did the helicopter flight over Pearl Harbor and in like where they filmed Jurassic Park and like the waterways back there in the jungle, and obviously checked out the North Shore, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I love it there. Yeah, that feels like home for us too. Well, of course, now we've been in Tampa since 2015.
Then did you come here because of his military connection?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I actually started in lending in 2007. While we were stationed in Mississippi.
Okay.
So I didn't know anybody, not from there, new to lending. And then I'd had to, with each move, reestablish myself,
Sure.
time and time again. And so when we moved here in 2015, I was like, that's it. This is where we're staying. This was our choice. This is where we wanted to retire from. So
is he still serving, or is he retired now?
No, he's retired.
He is retired now. Yeah.
In 2018, he retired.
He retired, and you guys decided just to stick with Tampa Bay as home, huh?
This is home. This is forever home.
What was it about lending that got you interested in 2007?
Gosh, it was kind of crazy. I fell into it by mistake. I actually started working with the person that did our loan for our house in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And she found out I was getting out of school. I did my master's in marketing and finance. And she's like, you should just come work for us. And just kind of
Were you looking for a job at the time?
Not quite at the time. I had very young children. So
Yeah.
I had just come off of going to school, raising, my youngest was 3 at the time. But I remember I kind of edged into it, did some part-time work. I was like, I'm not sure about this. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of gets in your blood.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing it, what's that, 14 years now? 15 years? No, longer than that.
Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah, my math isn't good. 17 years, and you've seen different markets, that's for sure, of the ebb and flow since 2007, some of the boom years and some of the more lean years, I guess you would say. Right. And so what do you think, in your opinion, has been some of the keys to just staying in the business, right? Staying sustainable over those boom years and lean years when a lot of people probably leave the business during those years?
Well, the thing for me first was I didn't, everybody talks about 2008 and how bad it was. Well, I didn't know any different. I was new to the business.
Right.
And
that was your first experience.
I had my head down and I was just doing loans.
Yeah.
And didn't know any different. So now when you look at this economy, I think there's a lot of noise out there as well. Not to say that it's not a tough market. It is.
Yeah.
But the same thing is it's kind of keep your head down, focus on, what you can control, and the rest, everybody will come out of this just fine.
Sure. Yeah. No doubt. Is there a particular year that stands out in your mind for any reason in your career so far?
Well, the busiest years were 2020, 2021. That was
Sure.
a mix, of course, of
COVID,
purchase business.
post-COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
And rates going down and refinancing. So that was very busy. But then it led into where the market just there wasn't enough inventory because the rates were so low. There was so much demand. So now we have these rates where I know they're much higher than the lows of the low, our lowest. But just thinking back, when you said in 2007, when I started, conventional rates were in the sixes.
Sure.
And so I think everybody's in the mindset now of when are they going to drop down and, to the threes again, and which I don't see happening. So I think people just need to get used to the fact that this is, this market might come down a little bit, but this is where the market is.
Right.
And
what happened a couple of years ago is not the norm. That's a little unique.
And also, if rates were to drop, for buyers out there right now, if rates were to just drop, it would create that same, there's just not enough homes for that demand.
Right.
So that's why I tell everybody, I'm like, find your house now.
Yeah.
While you don't have to compete with 30, 50 other people.
Right.
And then if and when rates do drop, then you refinance that.
Yeah, makes sense. It's the whole adage of what is it? Marry the home and date the rate. Isn't that the theme?
I think
right? That's the theme I've heard many times. So you have a specific, niche, I would say, that I've gotten to know you as, which is serving this military community, right? Yes. I know if you can see right here, we did a spotlight on Jeannine, and the article here in Tampa Bay Real Producers was really about her, a lot of the article anyway, was about her specific niche in serving the veteran community. You just heard her talk about her husband, of course, as being an obvious reason as to why there would be a tie there. But has it always been something that when you got into lending, you knew you were going to try to serve? Has that been a passion for you since the beginning? Did that evolve over time?
It has. Well, I remember when I started out, I started teaching classes at a local Air Force base there in Mississippi and giving the education. And that's always been where my heart is. And also because there's that void there, we don't get the education we need. So basically, there's just very limited knowledge, or now it's getting a little bit better because of the internet and everything else. But really, veterans didn't know all the great benefits with the VA loan. And then what I've seen happening over the last couple of years, especially here, because we've lived in different communities. When we lived in Colorado Springs, it was very much a military community. Mm-hmm. Here we have, MacDill Air Force Base, but I wouldn't say it's a military community. And so you have pockets that are very comfortable and familiar with VA loans, and then you have others that might not be as comfortable with it and know what a great program it is. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my mission, is to educate veterans on all their great benefits so they know if anybody tries to talk them out of it, what they're giving up. And then educating realtors. Like, I will come speak to any realtor group to just talk about all the great niches and how you could win business with VA loans.
So what are some things that you think people should know about that niche, the VA loan options that are out there, whether they are a veteran who might come across something like this show, or obviously our audience is geared towards agents,
sure.
Agents who probably aren't completely educated on the options there with the VA side, that you think they should know as they come across clients that are veterans? What are some of the important things that you think are need to know right now?
Okay, first of all, there's a lot of myths out there that the VA loan's a harder loan to do, and it's not.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes, it's actually it's the easier loan program out of all of them. It has very lenient when you talk about credit guidelines to them. There is no minimum credit score. There's no maximum debt to income. Mm-hmm. And in terms of bankruptcies, foreclosures, it has the most lenient, I would say, seasoning requirements. So I think what happens is there was the VA loan from, let's say, 20 years ago. That might have been a harder loan to get through. And there's been so many changes. And then I think a lot of the other things come with the appraisals. And from me, because I do all different loans, like I specialize in VA, I'm passionate about VA, but I I want to say VA is about 50 to 60% of my business.
Okay.
So when I compare them side by side, actually, I see VA loans, they actually come in at value or higher more than conventional loans. But I think there's that myth out there that the VA loans don't appraise as high.
Yeah.
When it's the opposite.
It's interesting. Why do you think that is? Where does you mentioned a couple, maybe it goes back 20, 30 years, but so just the fact that the VA process maybe has changed and has gotten easier over time. Is that what you think has caused the myths?
I think so. I mean, there was definitely a stigma back decades ago. And I know because I go to the annual VA Lenders Conference that they're working very hard to make it more accessible and to basically, I know their stat was something like 92% in 2022, the appraisals came in at or above value. And that was higher than conventional loans. And I see that every day in my own business where the conventional loans, they basically, due to the government changes, they were pushed through quickly. They kind of come in and out. Whereas with the VA, there's hard stops in place. If the appraiser doesn't think it's going to come in at value, they'll actually go back to the listing agent and ask for comparables. I mean, conventional doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And then we can also, if for any reason we disagree with the appraiser, we can do a reconsideration of value. But an interesting stat we found out this past year was only 0.5% of appraisals that come in under are even submitted for a reconsideration of value. So this might go back to...
Is that where the agent comes in?
I think it comes where the lender comes in.
Yeah.
So if there are a lot of online lenders doing VA loans that don't put in the necessary due diligence on their loans, it can absolutely impact the veteran and the stigma around VA loans.
Which is good for agents to know, though, too, so that if for some reason they have a one that does not get accepted, they might be able to encourage, right, that lender to try again or work with somebody else, right, who actually has the willingness to be able to do that due diligence, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned that about 50 to 60% of your business is on the VA side right now. Are there other product lines too, Jeannine, that you just feel like are unique, that you love, that you offer a lot that might be different than the traditional lender out there?
Well, of course, I do conventional FHA, all the mainstream loans, but there's a lot of what we call the non-QM loans. These days, the bank statement loans, no income doc loans, those basically, those are niche loans that we specialize in as well.
You do. Now, is that just within Cardinal Finance, or do you have like with your arrangement with Cardinal, are all the loans that you do in-house to Cardinal, or do you also have the ability to get loans elsewhere? Sure,
we can broker as well.
You can. So you do either one. Are most of your deals though in-house with Cardinal Finance?
Typically.
They are. Okay, makes sense. And you mentioned earlier that you love to educate agents and you get to go out. How often do you get to do that?
I try to do at least monthly.
Okay.
Get it.
Usually,
I would
do you hook up with brokers' offices for that mostly?
So I've worked with a number of title offices, and we'll set up lunch and learns or do things like that. I'm happy. I'd love to. Any broker office wants to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I just try to get in and educate as many people as I can.
Yeah, no, it's a great way, I would think, to just kind of get your brand out there too, and educate. And that's especially if you have that passion to be able to share the knowledge, which there's always a lot to learn, and that's always a changing industry too, I would imagine, right? What are some things that you feel like you have to do to stay in the know of all the changes and everything that's happening in the lending world?
Oh gosh, there's, obviously we get updates weekly. So when realtors come to us, they're like, we don't know that. I'm like, it's a full-time job, just keeping up with all the changes in our industry. And then of course, going to annual conferences to learn all the updates, what they're changing, especially with VA. And then part of organizations nationally that we help each other with education and one-offs and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a full-time career, obviously, for someone to really figure it out. And sometimes I talk to agents who I don't know if the right word is don't respect the hustle when it comes to the lending side. They almost just feel like it's naturally just falls into place, I guess, rather than the amount of effort it really takes to really know how to customize the solution, you know,
Oh, yes.
for somebody, because every buyer is different, just like as an agent, right? Like it's the same model where you really have to be a consultant and figure out what they really need to get it done. And in the finance world, there's all different types of product lines out there that you have to kind of match them up with, right?
Yeah.
And find the right fit. Because we're all the same team. We're trying to get to the closing table together.
Right. In fact, it's funny, when I left, when we moved from Mississippi, a realtor partner at the time ended up taking over my position as a lender there, and we would go back and forth, and I would answer any questions. And I remember she's like, Jeannine, you made it look so easy, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Any lender can tell you that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. In your experience in doing these classes and teaching agents as you have you noticed any differences or distinctions between, like, obviously with real producers, we try to focus a lot of our magazine on real producers, right? The top 500, what they volume based and what they do. Most of the agents, though, in Tampa Bay aren't technically real producers, right? There's 17,000 agents out there that are licensed, or that at least did one deal last year, is what I always say at our panels every month. And so in your opinion and experience, what are some, if any, like distinctions between what you would consider a real producer and maybe a non-real producer, or a traditional agent, in terms of like your role, like, and things that you've seen as best practices, maybe that certain agents do that you really think helps the process, versus maybe some things that you've noticed that don't help the process, maybe even hurt the process? Anything come to mind?
Well, I would say being proactive is definitely one thing. And then to your point, a lot of real producers, they don't talk about, okay, what's the best rate, or that type of thing, because there's so much that goes into that.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot lately, because of course it's this market, the rates have gone up. Everybody's very sensitive to it. But I think there are a lot of lenders that are quoting lower rates, but they're charging, I know you're a little bit more familiar with it, origination points,
Sure.
discount points. So because if you're a new buyer, all of this is new to you.
Yeah.
So you compare rates, but they might not necessarily be comparing closing costs.
Totally.
Where they might.
You can always buy down the rate,
Yes.
but you're going to pay for that. Yeah.
So, and they could be paying, up to $10,000 more, especially if we feel that rates may be coming down in the next year or so. This is something that looks really good on paper, but it doesn't really help the client.
Totally.
So I think the lender's there to help educate on the different options. So if you have a new agent that is just focused on what's the best rate out there, they might actually be hindering the process.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, it isn't just about the rate. That's always the common go-to in your world, I imagine. And obviously for a lot of agents out there who really take the time to learn your business, because they are an integral part of that whole process, I think it's important for them to realize there is more to that conversation than just the rate. And it really should be viewed as a consultant approach, so that you can find the best solution, right, for your client, and work together that way. So I think that's cool. Anything else that you feel like you've seen be a win-win type partnership for the agents that you love working with? Is anything else come to mind that has been, kind of certain characteristics or qualities that feel like this really is what makes these partnerships go great? I
think I love when I'm working with agents on the same level of tenacity to get it done. Because believe me, back in 2021, 2022, to win offers over 30 other offers, you have to be pretty tenacious out there.
Yeah.
And I think that helps. And a lot of the times what happens with what I like to do when I partner up is I stay in my lane. So the realtor is the one that's out there negotiating everything. But when it comes to the time that the offer comes in or goes in, I like to follow up and have a conversation. And at that point, because I do all the homework ahead of time, have everybody lined up, pre-approved, fully approved, all documentation, that it's an easy conversation to let them know that they have a great buyer. And then at that time, especially with VA offers, if they have any hesitancy, that I'm right here, and I get one or two answers. They're like, oh no, Jeannine, we're very comfortable. We love the VA loan. Or that's when they'll come out and they'll ask the question. So I feel having that conversation up front kind of arms them with anything that they need to share with their sellers. And they know that's the thing. When you're selling your home, you just want to know that the communication is there, and they're going to close.
Right.
They're going to close the deal. So I think that was the important part. And I've never not all the deals have closed. So, and
Nice.
that's important, working with somebody local, because that's my reputation on the line, to get
Did you say all of your deals have closed?
Unless for some reason a buyer has backed out of their contract, all of my deals have closed.
Gotcha. Yeah. Which is a big statement, because I mean, statistically speaking, isn't it true that it's like something like 50% of deals that go under contract never make it to the closing table? Are you familiar with that stat?
Not my stat.
But, thankfully.
And that's another thing where I get calls from, agents that I work with, and they're on the listing side of a deal, and I'm not going to name names, but we'll just say your typical VA online lenders. And the sad part is they don't look at the documentation up front. Mm-hmm. They don't pull certificate of occupancies. That's something VA, for the veteran. They don't do that up front. So all of a sudden they're 3 weeks in, and they get the call. They're like, this person doesn't qualify. I mean, that shouldn't have got past day one.
Right.
So when you're at that point, and I'll put out there to all the, agents listening to this call, that your VA buyers are the ones that are most likely to get to that line, closing, because investors, we see, they might go into it, but
right. If something happens and the numbers don't completely pan out, they're the first ones to bounce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, except for the fact that if, let's say, I'll say, like, if an appraisal came in lower and they couldn't meet somewhere in the middle, or if somebody walked away from it, but I rarely see clients walk away from deals too.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think it's got to be one of the most frustrating things in your line of work. And I think for agents too, right, is to have all that work go in and then not have it ever get to the closing table. And I can't even remember where I heard that stat, but I think it's factual. And it's kind of a crazy stat, that many deals that go under contract don't make it, to the finish line. And so obviously a lot of that has to do with the professionalism of the lender, right? And their ability to offer solutions when a problem might arise. And the agent, of course, is very integral in that entire conversation as well. So it's truly is a team effort across the board, which is why we try to do our best with even something like Real Producers to try to create a community that people can collaborate and hopefully have those open lines of communication. I'm impressed, and congrats on having some high percentages when it comes to getting the job done, right? The closing table, that's the goal. So we did mention a little bit about how you serve, say 60% of your business on the veteran side. And we did also talk a little bit about your husband, of course, his background being part of that reason why. Are there any other reasons for you, Jeannine, as to why that community is a passion for you? Anything that you've noticed that's just different about that niche compared to any other?
Well, it's our family.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. I feel that we've been blessed, with my husband's career. Obviously he's retired now. I've had a great career in lending, and it's more about giving back. And we also,
bless you, Rob.
Bless you. So we bought another thing. We bought in every duty station. And I was telling somebody the other day that our part of our net worth through real estate is more than our combined retirement plans.
Yeah.
And to know that, and I think so many military, they go from place to place because of course we move a lot, and they don't want to take on that commitment to say, this is an opportunity to build wealth if you're doing it the smart way.
Yep.
And that's not getting in over your head. We've had these homes where we would rent them out afterwards, that type of thing. So to be able to share that with people to help other military families gain wealth through real estate.
Yeah, that's very cool. And especially in some cases, if they are struggling, I would say, like from their experience in the military, knowing that there's help there, right? And there's like a bridge to hopefully get them to a better future. But even though I guess from my understanding in the military, they do have pretty good retirement plans and, lifetime packages. But I guess from a wealth perspective, it doesn't mirror or match anything close to what you can do in real estate.
Right. And it's the same as anything, but the fact that we do move, every few years, it does make it a little harder to do something like that versus where somebody, even though what's the stat? They're in their home for maybe 7 years on average, and then they move to another home anyway. But where somebody's in one place and one job they can probably do this with a lot more ease than someone that's traveling from state to state or out of the country.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. So what gets you excited, Jeannine, when you look forward, like the rest of this year, moving forward beyond this year? What does the future look like for you? What are some of your goals, if you wanted to share that, or just even if it's just industry specific that you think is exciting around the bend? What gets you fired up when you think about the future?
I think just kind of I've gotten to the point where I could go on and educate and work with so many new people. And that's something. And then also just the fact of, now family's grown, 3 boys, and so proud of that. More, that's what I'm most proud of.
That's awesome.
I love what
How old are your boys now?
They are 30 and 24 and 21.
Now, do they live around here?
So the two youngest live up in Temple Terrace.
Okay.
And the youngest, he's finishing up at USF.
Nice.
And so, yes.
Any grandkids yet?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Are they married? Any of the 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Our oldest just got married this last June.
Congratulations. So, that's exciting.
No grandchildren yet.
Not yet, but who knows? Maybe you get some news after this podcast for all we know, right? That would be exciting. So I was going to transition there anyway, and you brought up your family. For people who don't know you as well yet on the personal side. So you've been married now how long?
So 26 years.
26 years, 3 boys. That must have a lot of testosterone in that household, huh? Growing up.
Only girl. Well, now I have my our daughter-in-law, so another girl in the family.
There you go. Yeah, that was a welcomed addition. Yes. I would take it to the community. Maybe grandchildren in the future, but who knows? But what are some things that you remember? Who knows? We'll see. What are some things that you guys just love to do for fun? Like, what are some of your hobbies, interests? What are you passionate about?
Well, we love to travel. We just recently got our 5th wheel, so like to take that around.
Do a lot of road trips, huh?
Well, that we plan on it in the years ahead.
Nice.
But just seeing new places, food, wine.
Do you have a favorite place to travel? Is there one spot comes to mind?
Gosh, Hawaii. We're always, I feel like we go home every couple of years. So that's a big place for us. But,
always Honolulu or any particular island?
Well, we lived on Oahu.
Yeah.
A number of friends on Oahu. So we'll go back there, and then we'll usually kind of pepper that in with like a few days on a different island.
I've never been to the Big Island. I've heard it's beautiful. Nice. But I've never been. I've been to Maui and then Oahu. Those are the only 2 actually that I've been to Hawaii twice, and just those 2 islands. But I would like to check out the Big Island though, for sure. I've heard it's one of the few places where you have like every type of weather, I believe, right?
Except for one climate, they're all there.
They're all housed there, which is kind of neat.
Each island is so different.
Yeah.
And they're all beautiful.
You've been to them all?
I've been to the main ones, not the, I haven't been to Molokai. I shouldn't say that.
Okay.
But yes, they're just all beautiful, and it's fun going out there. But there's just so many places we haven't been that.
There is, yeah. I'm a big fan of travel too. It's just where's the time? If you can just make more time, right? Yes. Do you have an intent or a plan of wanting to retire from the finance business at any point, or is it just something you think you'll do for many years to come?
I can't see myself retiring because I said it just kind of gets in your blood, and just people call. And that's the great thing, that I'll have clients that we worked years ago, and they'll just call me out of the blue, or and I'm starting to help their children find homes. So
that's cool.
But I feel, and looking to partner with other people, so that way I can I do it all.
You don't have a team of LOs that work with you now, or am I wrong about that?
I have like loan officer partners, but
Okay.
the goal would be to partner up so that way we'd have a bigger team
I gotcha.
to help.
Very cool. So a couple of rapid fire questions. You ready?
Okay.
You had time to
Alrighty.
think about it by now. So these are the ones that get to know you a little bit more too. Do you have a favorite book or author or seminar even that you feel like has made a big impact on you personally or professionally?
We've talked about this before. Miracle Morning.
Hal Elrod,
So
yes.
yeah, that's your good friend.
He's a friend of
Good
mine,
friend
yep.
of yours. So that has made a huge difference in my life. And if anybody doesn't know about the Miracle Morning, it's basically starting off your day, and you started off with, just reading like about
Yeah.
10 minutes a day.
Savers practice.
Some, reading, and then gratitude, which I think is super important, because what do they say that you can't be, if you're thankful.
You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And then either meditation or prayer. I pray.
Mm-hmm.
I pray over the day. I pray over everybody I work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so and family, and it just starts out the day a different way, because I notice it when I don't do it. I can notice the difference.
Yep. Here. I can definitely agree to that. I've been committed to that practice for years now, and it's definitely made a huge impact. And same thing, sometimes mornings get hectic and you just kind of have to cut it short, or you don't even get a chance to do the full thing, and you can feel the difference for sure. So shout out to my boy, Hal Elrod. You're the man. He lives in Austin, Texas. We're actually part of a mastermind together called Front Row Dads. Where we grab a call once a month, and not just me and Hal, but this organization. Right. And Hal has been very influential in that group as well, called Front Row Dads. So he's a very talented guy, and if you don't know his stuff, you can check it out online. He's all over the place now. Miracle Morning for sure. So that's awesome. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
We don't watch too much. We just finished The Bear. Oh, you watch that?
I haven't.
Okay,
No.
that's it.
Is that Netflix?
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm not in charge of
All
this.
these streaming services are one and the
my
same
husband
nowadays.
will tell you, like he sets up the TV and we just watch it, or he's the one that travel. I'm busy, working, and
Right.
so he'll like plan things, and it's a big joke. I'm like that meme that you just show up at the airport and like, where are we going? That type of thing. So we don't watch too much, but when we do, it's our son Ryan that will kind of tell us what to watch, like Succession. He's like, you got to watch this.
Yes.
So,
He'll keep you up to date on the trendy stuff.
exactly.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite food?
I just love food.
Period, huh?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Tampa has a lot of options too, which is
do.
nice. Makes sense. So one of my questions that we'll put a bow on our episode here with has to do with legacy. And it's interesting that you're here today, because many of us might have just seen that we had Kristen Comstock here before you. And Kristen is also a Marine. She said, once a Marine, always a Marine, right? So she is a Marine. And so I wasn't planning necessarily on having a Veterans Day special today, but with your services, it seems like it flowed well today. But Kristen's group is called Legacy Home Group. And I always find it fascinating to think about like what we want to be remembered for, right? When that time does come where you are not maybe working as intently as you are now, and you're thinking about your legacy and what you would want to be most remembered for. What are some thoughts that come to mind for you that would matter most to you?
Helping others. And of course it's twofold. So work, just being able to help not just the military community, but help the buyers out there achieve. It's a major milestone, and I get excited. I'm heading to a closing in just a little bit after this, and that's where I gain it. I don't get.
That's still the special moment, huh?
That is, or when people say something or send me a text, that means more than any President's Club award that I've ever gotten. It's just so. Doing that, but then what I also been blessed to do, working, is giving back to the community. And we sponsor Canine Partners for Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They basically award service dogs to veterans with PTSD, TBI,
That's cool.
and things
That's
like
awesome.
that. So when we first started doing that 5 years ago and met the veteran, and seeing how it changed his life. And so, and you can't put a dollar on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think we might have talked about that in the article, did we not?
Oh, I think we might have.
Yeah.
And then, there's local, the Bautista Project here in Tampa is doing so much for the homeless community. And it's just being able to give back. And we might not see the seeds.
Is that with Marla Bautista?
Yes.
She's actually in the audience.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay,
She's watching it right now.
Hi, Marla. I'm giving you
Marla,
a shout out.
Shout out.
But oh my gosh, such an amazing family and what they're doing in this community. And so I think a lot of what we put out there, we're not going to see, but just knowing that we're planting the seeds
Absolutely.
and helping others. Yeah.
That's cool. And I can tell the genuineness that you have as you talk about it, right? Yeah. The emotion is there. And the causes that you mentioned are all doing great work. And so if you're somebody watching or listening to one of our episodes and you want to get involved with some specific organizations that you feel like really are serving a lot of your causes I know are tied to the military and the veteran specific community, but there's a lot of amazing causes that we even spotlight in Tampa Bay Real Producers to try to bring some awareness to them, among the ones that you just mentioned as well. So we'll put a bow here on our episode, but for somebody who might want to follow up with you, Jeannine, based on our conversation, maybe a veteran or an agent who wants to have you come and talk at one of their broker possibly, sure. What's the best way for someone to reach you?
You could call me direct. So my direct number is 727-772-3459.
Perfect.
And I'm on social media as well.
Perfect. We'll get that number up on our description as well. And you can follow Jeannine Smith, Cardinal Finance, anywhere on major social platforms. Do you have a favorite social media account?
I do a lot on Facebook.
There you go. Find her on Facebook, people.
Find me on Facebook.
You're good to go. So let's put a bow on the episode with a challenge, which we always do. For anybody who has taken the time, like Marla, to watch us live on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, or you're watching this episode or listening to this episode through any of the podcast platforms that are out there, take a specific action step from this conversation that Jeannine and I just had so that you know that the time that you invested in watching this will be worth it. What is one thing, just one thing that you can do to move forward to help you personally or professionally, take a step. Maybe it's literally reaching out to Jeannine just to have a conversation, right, about the veterans or her products or her services. Maybe you need to do a little bit more research on a specific product or service. Maybe you're an agent who might want to invite her to come talk at one of your office, and that might be a great thing to look into. Possibly it might be picking up the book Miracle Morning, right, and reading that. I know that that's been a game changer for me personally. Whatever it is, there's a bunch of different things that Jeannine and I got to talk about. She mentioned a bunch of different products today, from VA products to non-VA products to things that she busted some of the myths when it comes to the VA products that are out there. So do something, right? Take an action step that's going to help you move forward. And if you do that, then that's really the purpose behind why we do what we do. We will see you, of course. If you don't already subscribe to us on YouTube, please do, so you're getting notified every time that we have an episode drop, which is every Friday, by the way. And so all you got to do is click that little subscribe button and you'll be notified every time we have a new episode. And of course, you can follow us on all of our major, socials, Facebook, Instagram. We even, I think, have a TikTok nowadays. So that's where all the kids are. So we're there too. But all right, guys, we'll see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. Stay classy. Later.